Welcome. Give yourself a moment to come into a comfortable position. Any position you please that helps you relax into the divine love that you are. The gift that you are. The beautiful, perfect child of God that you are. Let's take a little journey together into a warm and cozy, loving space inside the heart. Perhaps a snowy cabin in the woods with a fire at the hearth. Come inside and curl up with the love of God's gorgeous grace. Do you love to be next to the fire, toasting your toes in the warmth? Or tucked away in a nook with a view out the window? Do you love a soft, plush cushion? Or are you in your favorite chair? Are there books? Is there artwork? What is here for you in your cozy surroundings? As you revel in the warmth and safety of your heart's love, invite God to be with you in this sacred space. Allow God's love to wash over you and fill you up. Completely loved, completely adored. Savor God's loving attention, for His love is always upon you, supporting you, encouraging you. When you feel completely saturated in God's love, begin a conversation and ask of God, how do you wish to be loved through me? How can I embody your love in my life right now? In every moment, God is here. Love is here. May you walk your path in this world with God's love guiding every step.
Welcome to our Sunday service. My name is Christine and I will be giving you today's card reading. I am using the Sacred Traveler Oracle cards by Denise Lin for today's reading. It's really beautiful, really fantasy inspired, and I really love that. So, our first card is Begin Now. Take your first step. So, it's this man leaving his house, living all that is familiar to him, and taking his first steps, beginning to embark on a new adventure. I feel this is very fitting since this is the beginning of 2022. We're still beginning, taking our next steps into this adventure. And yeah, we might not know what is going to happen or how it's going to happen, but we can all trust that it's going to be good. It reminds me of a quote I once read about how I may not know the next chapter of my life, but I know it's going to be good because I know its author, who is God. So yeah, it's safe to trust that even though we might be going through some unfamiliar territories and exploring new things and going through maybe new things, learning new things, that it's always going to be good and it's always going to serve our soul's best and highest interests because that's how God works. Even if something is unknown, then we can still trust that it is for good. And it also speaks to this energy of taking your first steps, not to be discouraged. Because sometimes we might be discouraged, like, okay, I desire to be over there, but instead I'm over here. And there's all this distance between these two places. But it's okay to be where you are right now, to recognize and accept that this is where I am right now, and to continue moving towards where you want to be with faith. And the process of ascension requires for all of us to be very honest about where we are right now and about what the goal is, right? The goal is always God and to be in perfect union with God and to purify our consciousness perfectly. And that's something that's not going to happen in an hour or in a day. It can take a while, and it's okay to accept that, and it's okay to keep working towards it without being discouraged or without worrying about how long it's going to take and when it's going to happen, because it's inevitable. That's what's natural for us humans. So this was the first card, and let's move on to the second card, Stepping into Power. It's this man holding the light over here. You're strong beyond measure. And it looks like he's leading some people, like at the back over here. I really love this card. It's all about we're taking our first steps and now we're learning to step into our power, to see ourselves as powerful and to really claim that because as divine beings, we are very powerful. Whatever is in our consciousness, we create it in our reality. So if there's a lot of fear in your consciousness, you will experience that in your circumstances. But as you purify your consciousness into love, then that is also what you will experience. So this week we're learning how to step into our power to really see that we're the ones who create in our own reality. It's nobody else's fault what we're experiencing. And not our fault either in that sense. There's no need to guilt ourselves or to be ashamed of ourselves because those are hell feelings. They're just keeping you in hell. What's important is to take responsibility for the choices we've made and to then, from that place of responsibility, make a new choice. So it's like recognizing, okay, I chose fear in this part of my consciousness, but now I still have the power, so I choose love instead. And it's as simple as that. And at first we might not see it, but as we step into our power, then we become a guiding light for others, as the card shows. Because this man is shedding his light and yeah, we're just beacons of hope for everyone else who might want to have the same insight, step into their own power, but instead they feel powerless. So there's also a message of it's safe to be ourselves. and to shine our lights. So for the third and final card is the view from above. It's this person, and there's some hot air balloons, and they're high up in the sky. Get the big picture. So a lot of times we might focus on small details, very small everyday things on the mundane, instead of seeing the big picture. That is our journey, our ascension. We don't really see the goal all the time. And this card is a reminder to keep our eyes on the prize, keep our eyes on the goal, which is more God, not to keep our eyes on the temporary upset or temporary feelings, because our feelings are temporary. Sometimes you feel upset, sometimes you feel good, and there's no use in attaching to those as the ultimate truth. What's important is to see the big picture, which is the ever expanding peace in your consciousness, your closeness to God, and also how much you have loved. That's the big picture. Like, there's no use in counting your days and minutes in terms of how productive you've been, like how much work you have got done. But instead, it's more useful to see it in terms of, did I love fully or did I hold back? And if the answer is yes, I did love fully, then that's seeing the big picture, even if you don't get immediate results in what you desire. You still know that you have done as God asked you to, which is to love fully your brothers and sisters and yourself. And that's enough. And it's safe to also trust that you will receive, because in every manifestation there's a giving and the receiving aspect. So if you have given all the love that you could, loved everyone that you could to your best ability in that moment, then you've played your part here and you now need to choose to receive. And that's seeing the big picture, not worrying also about the details, about how certain things are going to happen. If God has put a desire in your heart, then it's safe to know that it's going to happen, because that's God's desire for you. There's no use in sweating the details about how it's going to happen or when, because God already has that figured out. God already made the path for you. And the only thing you need to do is to keep following it. And even if sometimes there are upsets and blocks and things that might seem impossible, know that we don't have the view from above. We don't have the big picture. Only God does, because we don't know everything. So it's safe to keep listening to the voice of love, keep listening to the voice of God, and keep moving forward according to this guidance. So this was this Sunday services reading. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the Sunday service.
Hello everyone, I'm Laurentiu.
And I am Alexandra, and we are introducing today's sermon by Paco and Deb. And they have went really deep into this sermon, sharing about happiness and fulfilling your function. Because the quote that inspired them to make this sermon is a quote from Jeff and Shaleia, and the quote is, "Happiness is the reason for fulfilling your function."
And it's really, really beautiful, and I know, like for us, and even reflecting on that by watching the sermon was really like nice to see how it plays into our life and how every day how we fulfill our function and how to be more present with that. And it's really like a really important piece of like life to just fulfill your purpose in every moment. And I know that sometimes we may fall into traps of how to fulfill that, but like overall, like really getting back to that as like that's the moment when you're actually like most happiest. And I know you had a good piece about that.
Yeah, and I think it's. I feel like Paco and Deb really go in depth about this in the sermon, about how to like fulfill your function in each and every moment of the day, and how to be kind of like on purpose, and how that actually allows you to bring to have like more joy and happiness in your life. And so stay tuned. It's gonna be like really good, juicy here. So we really appreciated all the insight and which allowed us to go deeper. And I feel like it allows us to go deeper into, you know, our own happiness and our own joy, and to see that it is safe to, I think I just delve deep into what is your function, and allowing yourself to go deeper with fulfilling that function. So it's a new year, is the time where we are grateful for everything that happened in the past year, and we're passing on to like the next year. And I feel like it's a really great opportunity in the next year. So, and with this new year energy, with this new beginning energy, to like allow ourselves to like explore deeper our function, and to see how, you know, our function really bring us a lot of joy. And for us, when we have been like reflecting about the past year and thinking about, you know, what happened, and just kind of taking stock, we have noticed that the moments where we have been the happiest where we were like on purpose and fulfilling our function, and really we were the busiest and doing like hustling in a way. And I really do feel that personally in my life, because, you know, we are living our life purpose, and so we are choosing to fulfill our function each and every day. So I feel that, you know, whenever we are doing that, it's actually when we are happy, when we are the happiest. And it's very natural for us to kind of follow, you know, like our life purpose and to fulfill our function. It's the thing that we're meant to do, right? So it, of course, that it will, God created that us, you know, in that way. So it would be the easiest for us to just naturally flow into that space where we're with God, and we're doing things, we're doing activities for our function, to fulfill our function. So therefore acquiring like a lot of happiness and joy.
Yeah, and here's like I really loved another. I don't know if it was a quote or something that Jeff Shah said. It was about in order to work hard, you need to play hard. And here is just about the understanding that there's no difference between work and play. When you fulfill your function, when you do something that you really enjoy, you're gonna do it like
It's gonna be like a play for you.
Yeah, it's gonna be a play for you, even if it's work.
Yeah.
So
even if it might be challenging.
So it doesn't matter what it is, how it's called, it's work or it's play. It's gonna really be fulfilling as it is fulfilling your function. And of course, there are other ways to fulfill your function, not just like do work, but like, I mean, what I want to say with that, meaning that thinking about me cooking. That's one of my functions in, let's say, our household. What's on one of your functions?
In our union or in our household? To be funny. I do my function really well. and it brings us, you know, like a lot of a joy to be like this, right?
I have to give her credit for that.
So you see, like, your function is not that, you know, this super hard thing that you cannot achieve. It's just something that you naturally fall into, right?
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and you know, when it comes to like our union, something that, you know, I can say is like I, you know, help you with going deeper with our financial, you know, just organization in that area. You kind of like oversee the finances, but, you know, I help you into like refinement, and we partner in that way. So, you know, my functions there is like we both come in and do like our functions, right? And that's how we cultivate, you know, like a happy union, a happy family, a happy relationship. So yeah, it's really juicy. Yeah. So I feel like, you know, we will allow, you know, Paco and Deb to just take you deeper into this realm of fulfillment, of function, and, you know, happiness.
Yep.
Hello and welcome back to another wonderful Church of Union Sunday service.
We are Paco and Deborah, twin flames in union, and will be your ministers for today's sermon. We will begin with our opening Oms and our opening prayer, and you can follow our opening Oms out loud or in your heart.
And now the opening prayer. I am the only child of God, forever part of Him. I am created by Him in perfection, and there I always remain. My mind is my sanctuary, where I keep His holy creation sacred. I will only allow in His voice, I will only accept His word.
Today I will hear the word of God. I surrender myself to His teachings through His divine channel. I will honor what He has spoken and accept it as His will. I will be obedient to His word, for this is my salvation. In Christ's name, Amen. So for today's sermon, we were discussing on the topic, and we felt very much inclined in sharing about something that came up from a quote that we read from Jeff and Shaleia. I would like you to read the quote.
The quote is, happiness is the result of fulfilling your function.
And yeah, this is a topic that we've been healing a lot into, feeling safe and kind of like finding that happiness in fulfilling our function, which is aligning ourselves basically to how God created us to be. Each of us has a unique purpose, a very specific function within creation. And yeah, it's a little bit what we would like to share. It's our experience in this topic, and a little bit of our healing, and of course like how the teachings support us in doing this. So yeah, I would like to start because I was moving through some blogs in regards to even creating this sermon, and I realized that this is the place where I've been hurt a lot. So fulfilling my function was always something that at the very beginning became very natural. As I was a child, it was very easy for me to love unconditionally in any situation. Like it was with my family, it then evolved in like school, workplaces. And of course, as I was doing the healing on this subject, I started realizing that a lot of times when we shine our light, this also brings up the darkness in other people. And it's not like they are doing anything against us fulfilling our function, and this might be the experience many of us go through. It's just that they are also feeling hurt in that place. And I was picking up on these places within me where I kind of identify with somebody else's upsets, and I allowed myself to be convinced that I needed to dim my light, that I needed to hide who I was or what I was actually doing. And I was listening to a talk show that Jeff did a couple of months ago, if not a year. And he was speaking about this too, that we are going to have these moments, we are going to have these encounters with the voice of ego, who is going to try to convince us that we are doing something wrong. Yeah, please
Yes,
jump in.
and I would like to jump in here because there is exactly this place, as you also shared in the beginning. As a child, you did it very naturally. You were present with what you are receiving right now and feeling right now, and so you always fulfilled the function you received from your Creator, from God, from love in the moment. And so that is what we love about children so much. They seem happy, regardless what they are doing. And this is what we love so much about them.
Mm-hmm.
When they are playing, they feel happy. When they are just going for a walk with you and experiencing nature, they seem happy. Because in this moment, they fulfill their function. And they are just present and they just live what they feel in their heart right now. And as you shared now, as you grow older, you forgot to stay present with yourself and just to follow this good feeling where you feel happy. It doesn't mean when you feel happy that you are always jumping around and having a part. No, it's just with happiness. Also, it's very important to understand what this quote means with happiness. Is that you in this peaceful state of being and you are happy where you are right now, and that you allow this happiness to expand in yourself. I'm sorry for the interrupting, and just
Confirmation.
exactly, that you just expand yourself in this moment, whatever shows up in your reality.
Yeah, I like that, the lightness, that because it's true, like children don't really have that many filters yet. They weren't as much as culturally imprinted with different values or beliefs, so it's very natural for them to fall into that place, and they do it with such joy and lightness. So, and this is what we are healing into again, like finding our joy in fulfilling our function, regardless what that function is or may look like. It may change from one time to another. And I love what we discussed over breakfast, where we were talking about what the topic of the sermon might be. It's like we have different functions too.
Yeah, and I love that you said that now, because that is so important in this topic, fulfilling your function. You have different types of functions, and you grow in your function. And so it can change, and this change is important and necessary, that you can stay in the happiness.
Yeah, and in that flow too.
Yeah, exactly. It's the flow. It's the flow in your function, and this change is the naturalest thing, most natural thing in life. We see it in nature. There is no day like the other. Nothing is the same in nature. Grow and change is very natural, and that's why we feel so happy when we go outside, because nature fulfills its function, and so this reflects this joy constantly, and that is where we can fill up our cup again. Oh, okay, it's totally perfect what I'm doing. I feel good with what I'm doing. Sometimes it changes a little bit, and then I'm just doing in this way. This feels better, this feels lighter, this feels fun, this feels good. That's totally okay.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Jeff and Shaleia's body of work teaches us, especially through life purpose class. I clicked immediately when I was listening to you.
Yes.
Because throughout the entire classes, course of classes, I don't know how to the accurate English word for it. They actually teach us how to do exactly that, how to fulfill our function in whichever way that looks like.
And be happy with it.
Yeah, and finding that whatever it is, it's enough. Yeah. Like one day it might be fulfilling like a function that might feel or seem very big or important. Sometimes it's just simple as being a little disciplining in your family with your child.
For example, I felt that today I asked God, as I made some days ago, the choice always to stay present in the flow with God. And so I asked him today, what should I do now? And then, I wanted to sit on the computer and work. And then God said, not yet. And he said, your function now. And he said to me, your function now is be the cleaner at home. And then I said, oh yeah, that's a cool function. And so I just started to clean the kitchen. And then I went into the whole apartment, and then I feel, oh yeah, the function of all in our family now is taking care of our home, and so I kind of expand that function into all. And then what is the function now? No, your function is now being the cook for your family. Okay, then I started cooking, and now the function is now to being in service and going outside and take care that enough food is at home. Okay. And this is kind of this is how I fulfilled my function on a daily basis can change too. I'm not the whole day in this one function as maybe working for my business or going to work. No, this changes too. Sometimes my function is to nurture myself or to romance myself, and then I feel this happiness in every step I do, also in a daily basis.
Yeah, I'd love
And,
to. Okay,
yeah.
you want to add something?
And
else?
what I would like to add, this what you realized, Jeff and Shaleia teaches us in Life Purpose class, fulfilling our function and feeling this joy in our heart. I got this insight today when I was feeling into the topic and relaxing into the topic. Every Twin Flame Ascension school class is about that. Finding this place in your heart where you feel happy where you are right now.
Very good start point to get clear for those watching this sermon. If you never have tapped into what your function might be, or you are starting to get curious, this would be a very nice time of the year to maybe sit with yourself and get clear. Like, what is it that you would like to do? How is there's another quote that I think it was also Jeff in this talk show that he was mentioning. It's like, extending love is a function that never ends. So it's something that we are going to be doing eternally. And it's extending God, it's extending love. They are one and the same. So how would we like to fulfill that function? And
yeah,
if
this
you're
is exactly what you are speaking about, is how would you like to fulfill your function?
Yeah.
This is getting clear about your true self. What is my true self? How do I feel good in expressing myself? How do I feel good in being in relationship with other people?
Life itself.
How exactly? And there comes also this quote. In this quote there are so many things, because then we cultivate this happiness in our heart, and then we can share this happiness in fulfilling our function in whatever we are doing right now and what our function is right now with others. It can also be that you have the function of being a friend right now.
Yeah.
My function is not being a friend, and in getting clear about my function in being a friend, and I, like you said, this clarity is important. How I would like to share that, it starts with myself.
Yeah.
And that I see, okay, I have also this function.
Yeah, and if you feel complete, I would like us to go a little bit deeper perhaps on this topic. Like, what does it mean to fulfill our function?
Exactly.
And it's basically explained is us aligning to the divine will. Because as we said at the beginning of the sermon, we each have been created in a very unique and specific way. And it's very important for us and for our spiritual health too, like our well-being, to not only be clear, but also doing our best to take the steps into fulfilling that function. I know this topic for me was, I'm not sure if I could actually speak about it, because in a lot of different places, this has been the place that I've been kind of like running away from. But of course, God has been calling me to heal deeper. And he keeps inviting me in tapping into, okay, is this what you would like to do? And the undeniable answer, it's always yes. So for that to align with everything else, something needs to change here.
Exactly.
And something needs to be loved in that place. So I feel safe and comfortable in doing exactly this. Like, delivering this sermon for me is one of the juiciest things I could possibly be doing. I was sharing this with Paco before getting clear on the topic, and it's like whenever I went into a church, I would always see the place, like this, I don't know how this is called in English, the place where the minister is standing and preaching. And I could so picture myself doing that. I still do. I would love to do it in an actual physical church at some point. Doing it online is also very fulfilling. And it's like, yeah, I like this. I love doing this. I love communicating God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so beautiful that you said God was inviting you. Do you like this? Do you like this? And that is so cool from God that He's doing that, because when you not tried something, you don't really know if that is what you would like to
what you actually
give.
desire.
Yeah, and he did that always in my life too. Also in previous jobs I had, I was always this person who tried a lot, because I feel no, this is not it. I don't feel good anymore. I'm not happy going to work anymore. And then I always had this desire to change something, and then God opened also in these workplaces new opportunities that I couldn't try this, and then I can try this, and everything I was trying helped me to
added a piece to the purpose that you are actually building.
I always learn something important that I come to my next function, and then it feels always, oh yeah, I like that. That feels very good, and then I'm going into it, and then I have joy in doing what I'm doing. Then I have joy in working, also in my workplaces. It was always, then it was like a new workplace. Even I was always at the same company, but in the 13 years I was there, I did so many different things, because I said, no, that's not it. Okay, no, that's not it.
But it was also part of your learning experience.
Exactly, it
like
was
everything.
Important. Yes.
One of the first things that I also realized while I started watching both Twin Flame Ascension School and Life Purpose class, because they complement each other, and I decided that I would step into my function in spreading this teaching and spreading the Word of God, was realizing that I was, everything that I learned, everything that I did already prepared me to do this. And I was actually doing something very similar to being an Ascension coach without knowing that I was being a coach. So it was very fun to see that click when I started
God
taking the first
prepared
steps.
you already for your function.
He's always preparing us for a function, whether we realize it or not.
And also this preparing can be fun.
Yeah, and clearing the way to it too. Because I wanted to go back to our initial quote, like the happiness is the result of fulfilling your function.
Yeah.
Because, and this is for me a very important point to touch upon. One of the things that this healing has been bringing up was a lot of places where I was feeling depressed, and this is actually something that Paco picked up in my vibration. Because growing up, I was experiencing a lot of contrast in this place. I would oftentimes be met with a lot of resistance, and while it's true that I'm choosing to change how I perceive these experiences from my past so that I can actually see them for the mirror that they are, they were also, as I was sharing at the beginning, the voice that I allowed to kind of like make myself small and kind of like dim myself. And on the opposite side of happiness is that depression. Mm-hmm. So I was feeling very drawn to this particular topic because I always love this other thing that Shaleia shares a lot throughout the classes, which is that whenever we are moving through, in this case, depression, means that we are actually letting go of that and calling in our joy. And there's nothing juicier and more joyful than doing exactly what you like to do when it comes to spreading love or spreading God in that way that feels very natural to you. And I feel like that clicks perfectly with your example about nature. Like nature doesn't really give much thought about it. They just simply go out there and do their stuff. And it should be the same for us too.
Yes.
So I love that this is a incredible opportunity for us to choose to go into this place, open that door,
Yes.
do our healing work,
Mm-hmm.
and allow ourselves to step into that. And it doesn't matter how it looks like.
Exactly.
Your function may be holding space for a part of a company, or it can be holding space in your family. Your function
Yes.
can be being a nurturing mother, or a loving wife or husband, a loyal friend to
Yes.
someone. It doesn't have to do just with what we define as work
Yeah.
in the world. So I feel like, this is extremely juicy. It feels really, really nice to be delivering this message and opening the door to those who, even if you have explored this already, can always choose to go deeper.
Yes.
And see, okay, what would my next piece in my function be?
Oh my God, yeah.
And kind of like seeing as a playground again, like being very light
Grow
and
into
open,
it deeper and kind of
like a child.
Yeah, and exactly,
Yeah.
and expand it and find new ways of expressing it, or how you also receive this joy.
Yeah, and not being afraid of
Yes.
going through that door,
Yeah.
and maybe learning that you were more received than you thought. This is also something that's been in my...
Yeah.
I'm just remembering
God,
a situation now
Okay.
where it was very funny. Most of my life I was like, oh, nobody's paying attention to what I'm doing or what I'm saying. Whatever I share goes from one ear out to the other. And I was just remembering when I was learning German I think it was my first time, I was already very clear in my desire to move abroad. And I was just learning the language because I am passionate about communication and languages. But at the same time, I've made a very clear decision that I'm gonna move to Germany at the very beginning. Now we know that the story went a little bit different, but that's perfect. And I remember in one of the pauses from the class, I started sharing about this project with some of my classmates, and without realizing the minute that I kind of became more present with that, I remember seeing people from other classes too. I had like 30 people around me listening to what I was saying and feeling inspired. And actually one of my classmates ended up making the same choice of giving this idea he had been moving through for quite some time a chance. And he actually ended up doing the papers, got in touch with one of his relatives, and moved abroad. So you never know who is gonna receive your gift, and I feel like that's a little bit of the message. And what I also learned by looking at Chef and Shaleia when I was moving through this talk show, as I was searching for a particular piece that Chef shared, he was sharing that... I lost it now. It will come to me.
Yeah, it's. I would like to add. This is a very beautiful example you gave us from your life. Thank you. And I realized that too. People are listening to the voice of love and God, and it is also a part of fulfilling your function. How God would like to share love through you, and it can be something what feels very good for you, and you can feel happy in doing that. And this is also like this quote is, it's like for everything in your life. It's the happy place in your heart where you love to talk about God, and where you love to share God with others who are kind of still a little bit afraid of receiving this love from God. I remember now also a lot of situations in my life where it felt just so good, and kind of it was such a joyful moment with people I don't know very good or a lot, but just talking a little bit about God, or just sharing these thoughts about love. And this is where you fulfill the function how God wants to come through you in this moment, and that brings happiness in your life, and letting go of this depression where you're kind of depressed always, in sharing just what is.
You feel guided to share, and
Feel
sharing
guided,
God
yeah.
looks different for each of us.
Exactly.
For some people, God is baking the bread, or cooking, or painting, and we've always touched upon these topics because, again, God expresses Himself throughout all of His creation. So it's okay to find what clicks with you. And I remember what I wanted to share about the talk show and what I saw, and I actually see this in every single class. Jeff and Shaleia role modeled this fulfilling their function because they do it in spite of who is listening to them. Despite of who is receiving them or not, they know that their function is to share God in this particular way, with this particular piece. And this is a concept that I wanted to navigate a little bit deeper, because in Buddhism was very clear. Fulfilling our function is basically becoming a channel for God to come through, in whichever way that looks like. It doesn't matter if it is a 5-year-old doing a drawing for mom. It doesn't matter if it is you tending the bed because that's the way you love your house and your family. Or if you do it like with a specific profession.
Yes.
Being that a doctor, dentist, lawyer, baker, cleaning lady or cleaning man or maintenance, doesn't matter. That's the way in which you share what you're passionate about, what you are loving, what you are feeling joy about. And I feel like that's a very nice way of start rounding up, like wrapping the topic. I'm very happy that I got to share this evening about what it's the experience of getting very clear on what you like, what you feel called to do, and share yourself, like your gift, as Chef and Shaleia put it, with the world. And then taking the steps and healing into it, and receiving some miracles, and who knows, maybe that love that you are putting in gets returned to you.
It always gets returned to you.
In magical ways.
Yeah, in God's ways.
ways. Yeah, exactly.
In God's ways.
I feel very much complete with this.
Me too.
Okay, so we are then closing our sermon with our closing alms and our closing prayers, and of course you can follow out loud or in your heart.
Father, I accept your word into my heart. I will honor your will in my life and will follow you without hesitation anywhere you ask. I know you guide me into your heart where I belong. I accept that you are everywhere and your teaching is in all things. God, I know you provide me clarity in this teaching of union, that I may be forever in union with you.
I accept that you are in me as you are in my brother. I will not deny my brother your word, and will share your teaching with him in any way you ask, and only as you ask. For when I share my salvation with him, I fully claim my salvation and return to you with him.
Speaking this prayer in your heart means you have accepted that you are on the path of awakening to your true divine nature. This is what it means to be a unionist. Follow the teaching of union with God wherever you find them and purify your consciousness into perfect union with your Creator.
And now our closing alms. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see each other in other sermons.
Bye.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the sermon from Deb and Paco. We surely did. And yeah, there were a lot of juicy things to take from it. So what are some things, Alexandra, that you take from the sermon?
Well, I really loved, again, like going deeper with the fulfillment and the happiness and how that looks like. I really appreciated, the richness of, Paco and them just sharing about this, in their lives. I really loved the associating kind of like with children and how much they looked at, at children and how natural for them is to be in that state of joy and happiness, and how natural for them is to fulfill their function. As I was listening the sermon, I was like, yeah, if like a children just wants to like build a sandcastle, they would do that, with their whole being, because that's their function. In that moment, they're just doing their sandcastle thing, and they're like completely like enraptured and in love with doing that. So that's how they would be the most happiest. And I really love how the accent that is put, of how natural it is to like fulfill your function. It's not something that's kind of like estranged to like your soul or your divinity. And we're just kind of healing to like returning to that place and finding out what's that place for us, and letting go of like limiting beliefs or like different types of programmings that we have been like teach to have, so we can allow ourselves to kind of fall naturally into that place where we fulfill our function. So therefore we have like the juiciest time in our lives.
Yeah, really one thing that I really enjoyed about that is that, nature that just fulfill its function.
Yeah, nature just natures. And I really love that. And I think like, yeah, there's nothing, stopping the tree from growing and being itself. If it has to grow, it grows. If it needs more light, it will stretch to get the light. It will just change and constantly evolve. And I really love that as well, about how fulfilling your function is not like a static thing. It's like ever growing, ever changing. Now you're fulfilling your function by cooking dinner, and now you're fulfilling your function by shooting a video, and now you're fulfilling your function through going to buy groceries or taking care of your children. Your function is like it's an extension of you. It's an extension of God, and God is like ever growing.
Yeah. And fulfilling your function, it's about really loving. That's what I really love. It's like really loving. If you're in a space that you're always loving, you're in a space where you're always fulfilling your function. Because I feel like that's our function as children of God, to love.
Yeah, to love and share that love with one another, with other children of God, and love God back as well. Yeah. So just choose to love God back the way that you feel called to, and the way it feels most natural to you, and allow yourself to fall in love with performing your function and doing your function. Again, if you feel like, as Paco and that maybe you don't know what your function is, or you're not sure, allow yourself to just have this exploration and fall in love with that, because it is the thing that is gonna bring you the most joy, that you're gonna be the happiest, and it's gonna feel so fulfilling to do this. So yeah, I wish you a new year filled with fulfilling your function, right?
And happiness.
And happiness, of course, is gonna come naturally.
Okay. Yep.
Good. So we invite you to visit the unionism.org website if you want to see our previous sermons, the previous meditations, card reading, music. Everything that you wish to see is present on the unionist.org website. Also there, you can tithe or donate to the Church of Union if you would like to support spreading the message of unionism to the world. And as well, you can also like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video, and this will also help us in sharing this message to the world. We also invite you to after church tea time, which takes place in the Unionist Spiritual Discussion Facebook group. Yeah, right after this sermon is over, so you can hop onto that Facebook group and you will see members of the Church of Union, Unionist, talking, sharing, and discussing this sermon deeper.
Yep.
yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.